What's up, crypto fam? It's Phantom taking another look at the market. Bitcoin had a rough day, along with all of the traditional markets. Um, Neo on the traditional sector was down 5-6%. Palantir's down. Tesla was took a 12% hit. The S&P just got annihilated, and Bitcoin followed suit. The two are still pretty tightly coupled. Um, so Bitcoin took quite a hit today, and the fear and greed index reflects that change. That being said, we did close the weekly on Sunday above the trendline support that I indicated. And as I've indicated on previous streams, as long as we don't close the week below this trend line, that's on the closing level. So this would have to stay below this line on closing Sunday. I don't think it's going to do that. We've broken through this a few times. The trend line has done its thing, and the price recovers back above the trend line before the closing of the weekly candle. And I think that's what we're going to see here again. I don't know if the bleeding will continue, but I still think that this is overall a strong. We have strong indications that we're still in a bull market, even though we are getting these pullbacks. This sideways movement is just needs a catalyst to really set it off, and I think we're at a point in time that a decision is really close to being made on whether we get wrecked or we go for our third moon mission. And I am going to be on the moon mission team until we do, like I said, close below this weekly trend line. So that's what I'm watching. I left my ATOM, my Cosmos position open. It's obviously in the red right now. I didn't put any. I removed the stop losses on it, so I'm riding this one out because I do think that we are going to continue to the upside. I think this pain is necessary to shake out a lot of or any of the remaining bullish hands. It kind of beats people down until they get sick and tired and done with dealing with it, and then they kind of capitulate and sell. And it's usually around that time when the market feels the worst that we change around to the bullish momentum. The market is in pain. We're in extreme fear territory. We dropped to 21 on the fear and greed index. So we are at extreme pain levels, even though, overall, this is a hidden bullish divergence with the RSI declining down as the price increases. So, and this is one of the strongest indicators to date. I do think that we have upside coming for us this week. I'm just hoping that it comes sooner rather than later so that the Twitter space gets a little bit less toxic. The downside momentum definitely brings out toxicity in Twitter. So I do have a couple of cool news articles. I do have one bearish news article. The reason that I'm bringing the bearish article up on this particular stream is because I've mentioned it before in other streams, and I try to follow up on the news articles that I mention here on stream. So the first article I have is Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin hit by Wall Street risk aversion. Investors' interest in buying the dip skyrockets. The dollar was the key beneficiary of the prevailing uncertainty. The dollar index, a measure of the greenback's strength against 6 currencies, rose to a 2-year high. Usually when the dollar does well, tech does poorly. Bitcoin dropped below $40,000. Ethereum dropped below $3,000. A lot of this came from two things: Russia's suspension of gas supplies to Poland, and the other changes. There was a increase in the lockdowns in China due to the COVID-19, them taking an aggressive stance, and they think that them shutting down factories and things like that is going to kind of set in the COVID problems that we had before, where we just couldn't get the correct supplies and things like that. And that put a lot of fear in the market, and the market responded quickly and it chose violence. So, kind of expected after news like this. The market is still news driven. I have all my indicators, and I think it follows technical analysis pretty well. But at the end of the day, news can still kind of dictate our at least short term direction. Crypto to take over the financial sector over the next decade, a survey finds. For a survey published by Bitstamp, the crypto space is on track to become a mainstream industry. The platform conducted a survey of over 28,000 participants, 5,400 senior institutional decision makers, 23 retail investors across 23 global markets to try and take a pulse on the sector. Since its inception, digital assets have grown into a $2 trillion industry at its all-time high. Once an interesting way for tech-savvy individuals to send money across the world, the participants of Bitstamp's survey claim that they use crypto to buy groceries, donate, shop online, and other day-to-day items. A majority of retail responders believe that the industry is in its early stages, therefore they expect that the next 5 years to be critical for the industry's growth. 75% think the digital asset will reach mainstream adoption within the next 10 years. This is big. This is why you see a lot of people on Twitter, I think, correctly pointing out that, this price action that we're seeing from the 30 to 60K area, it's going to be a drop in the bucket in 5 to 10 years, right? You're going to wish that you had Bitcoin at these price levels. Kind of like, if you could go back to 2018, 2019, 2020 even, Bitcoin hit its lowest in the 3K areas. If you could buy Bitcoin now at that price, anybody would scoop it up. I picked up a good amount of Ethereum for less than $200. And that was just when COVID was starting. So anybody would jump all over those prices now, and I think we're going to be at that same space in the next 5 to 10 years, that you wish you got Ethereum below $3,000. That's going to sound like a crazy price. You're going to wish you bought Cardano at less than $1. So, yeah, I think there's big things coming, and I think this survey reflects a lot of people recognizing the movement in the space and the adoption that is coming. So this is an article that I brought up a couple weeks back. Australia Bitcoin was spot EFT. They were launching an EFT in Australia, and it looks like that it's delayed. The first spot EFT in Australia has been delayed reportedly by a prime broker, and it's unclear when it will start trading. The first Australian Bitcoin spot EFT from Cosmos Asset Management has been delayed. The delay comes as a surprise, since the National Clearinghouse and corporate regulators had previously greenlit the product. EFT Securities and 21 Shares were set to launch Australia's first Bitcoin spot exchange, Traded Fund EFT, on April 27th, but the product's listing has now been delayed. The announcement from the CBOE Australian Exchange explaining the delay came as a surprise, since both the corporate regulators and the National Clearinghouse had already given their green lights. We are now at our minimum number of clearinghouse participants, and that means we are good to go. CBOE explains the delay as a matter of routine checks and balances. Standard checks prior to the commencement of trading are still being completed. However, reported by the Australian Finance Review blames the delay on a powerful prime broker. The report from the AFR states that the CBOE was quick to position this decision as part of a routine process. Multiple market sources expressed frustration that the 5-month approval process had once again been delayed for speculation of a $1 billion inflow expected upon approval. So there's a lot of frustration in the space where, even in the US, where these spot EFTs are trying to get put in place for people to start trading, and they're either delayed or they're denied, or the barrier to entry is just impossible. And it's frustrating, and it's difficult to continue to get no after no after no, especially when the rules change all the time and they're not really made aware of public knowledge. So having a barrier to entry means that innovation will just go somewhere else where it can flourish, where it doesn't have the so much trouble just to get the ball rolling. And there are places in the world that will incubate this innovation and see what it can develop, instead of creating barrier after barrier after barrier, so that entry can't be established and innovation can't be successful. So I'm hoping that they move forward with this pretty soon, because this was one of the closest that I've seen a spot EFT being launched. I'd be super excited to see it come. I think it'd be great for the space. I think it would be great as far as a measurement device to see how well the market reacts to it, to see how well Australia does with that type of spot. But that said, the delay is painful. It's obviously not the bullish news that it was when they were right on track with the date and supposed to be releasing. But here we are. This is crypto. We have the rugs pulled underneath us quite often, and we get punched in the chin over and over again. But the resolve of the community and the goal we all see as this being something that's going to change the world is absolute, and they won't keep us down. We'll just keep pushing for this adoption. And I think we're all going to be very well off for the pains that we're going through today. I think the pains are going to be much less in 5 years, even less than that in 10 years. And in 15 years, I can see full scale adoption throughout the world. So those are the articles I have for today. Just wrapping up, I think Bitcoin is still bullish. We haven't closed below the weekly trend line. I know it's scary when Bitcoin does, crash so hard along with the S&P, but I take pride in, looking at long term. And it's very easy for people to capitalize and come out on Twitter saying, see you at 28K, see you at 26K, see you at 25K, when things are, minus 5% for the day and things are looking ugly. It's easy to play Monday morning quarterback. I think long term, we're still in a bullish momentum. I think it's stalled for sure, but I'm still on the bullish side until we close below the weekly trend line. So until that happens, I'm going to continue to push the bullish narrative. I'm going to continue making small longs here and there. I'm not dipping all kinds of crazy money into these altcoins just yet. I would like confirmations before I do that. But I am, keeping small trades open. They'll just be longer term trades until the market really decides to make a move in either direction, except, instead of just the very boring sideways movement that it's been making. Extremely small price range. So that's it. That's all I have for today. I hope you have a great rest of your Tuesday. I hope you have an even better Wednesday. And I'll catch you all in the next video. Until then, peace.